This would happen when a celebrity wellness guru with over 4 million Instagram followers admitted on a major podcast that she has no therapy license, and then refused to prove she even has the doctorate she's been building her entire brand on. Her name is Cheyenne Bryant. She goes by Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. And right now the internet is asking one very simple question. Is she actually a doctor at all? Cheyenne Bryant was born on September 6, 1982, in San Pedro, Los Angeles. Her parents were teenagers when she had her. Her father was 16, her mother was 17. She's spoken openly about growing up as what she calls a broken child who became a broken adult. And she says those painful experiences became the foundation of her entire career in psychology and life coaching. And that career, it took off. She became a co-producer and the resident life coach on MTV's Teen Mom Family Reunion. She's appeared on The Breakfast Club, Club Shay Shay, and major shows across television. She's been featured in Forbes, Oprah Magazine, HuffPost, USA Today, and People Magazine. Oprah's magazine specifically recognized her as a leading psychology expert in the mental health field. She ranks within the top 5,200 Instagram influencers in the entire United States and sits at number 116 in the health and medicine category. She's also the president of NAACP Branch 1069 in the San Pedro and Wilmington communities of Los Angeles. On top of all of that, she's had viral public sessions with some of the biggest names in entertainment: Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Shannon Sharpe, B. Simone. You may remember her 2024 moment with Cam Newton where she challenged him on camera about having multiple kids with different women. That clip traveled everywhere. On April 27, 2026, Cheyenne Bryant appeared on the Joe Budden Podcast. And in that interview, she said something that set the internet on fire. She admitted she does not have a therapy license. And not only that, she said she has no interest in getting one. Her exact words? Quote, "Just to educate some folks a little bit, a license is really only needed so you can bill insurance." She went further. She said she prefers operating privately because she is, and I'm quoting directly here, not binded by ethics boards and regulations. She framed it as a business decision. She said working outside of the license system lets her charge out of pocket, earn more, and have more control over how she works with her clients. Now, to be fair, she also tried to provide some context. She said she started off as a licensed marriage and child therapist about 18 years ago. She said that once she obtained her doctorate in counseling psychology, she transitioned from a therapist to what she calls a psychology expert in private practice. And at that point, she says she stopped practicing under a license. But here's the problem. The moment she said she's not bound by ethics boards and regulations while calling herself a doctor who works with people on their mental health, licensed mental health professionals lost it, and rightfully so. Dr. Raquel Martin, a licensed psychologist who became one of the most vocal critics of Bryant's comments, put it plainly. She told TheGrio, "We give a lot of onus to social capital to a level of following, but we can't do that. There are a lot of times where celebrity and expertise overlap, but that's not always the case." Like, that quote cuts right to the heart of it. Having a big following is not the same as having credentials. And when you are advising millions of people on mental health, that distinction matters enormously. The license issue opened a door. And once that door was open, people started asking a bigger question. If she's going to call herself Dr. Bryant, where is the actual doctorate? That question led people to ProQuest, the national academic database where doctoral dissertations from accredited U.S. universities are routinely indexed. They searched for Cheyenne Bryant. They found nothing, 0 results. And here's what makes that significant. ProQuest indexes nearly 600 dissertations from Argosy University, the very school Bryant claims she got her doctorate from. Her name is not among them. People also checked state licensing boards. No active license for Cheyenne Bryant as a psychologist or therapist was found in California or any other state. So now the internet has two problems with her: no therapy license and no verifiable doctorate. And the pressure to explain herself reached a peak. On May 12, 2026, Cheyenne Bryant sat down with the Breakfast Club to address the growing storm around her credentials. She made clear she was only going to discuss this once. She said, and I quote, "She doesn't give a fuck about other people's narratives." Then she dropped the explanation that's now at the center of everything. She said she attended Argosy University's doctoral program in counseling psychology, and she says she completed that program while the school was still accredited. But here's the twist. Argosy University entered federal receivership on January 18, 2019. Its schools officially closed on March 9, 2019. The school collapsed after severe financial mismanagement and the loss of federal student aid eligibility, leaving thousands of students in academic and financial limbo. Bryant says that when she later tried to retrieve her official transcripts, she says she was trying to apply to law school at the time. She couldn't get them. She says the third-party records custodian only kept documents for a limited window, and she missed that window. She also said she was offered a financial aid refund in exchange for receiving no credit for any programs she completed at the university. She declined that refund, and she used that as proof, saying, in her words, "You can't make up financial aid. It shows that I paid for a doctoral program, alongside my master's program and my undergrad program." She also said she was able to download portions of her records from the student portal, including up to her dissertation, but claims many of the remaining files were no longer accessible. She added that other former Argosy students experienced similar issues. It sounds reasonable on the surface. Argosy was a chaotic, messy closure, and that is real. But critics immediately pointed out one critical problem with her story. Argosy University transcripts, diplomas, and education verifications are still available through a service called Parchment. That is the official repository that was set up specifically for former Argosy students after the closure. Other former Argosy graduates have publicly stated they successfully retrieved their official transcripts through Parchment and through state education departments years after the school shut down. And there's another detail Bryant has never provided. Not in the Breakfast Club interview, not in any of her press appearances. She has never named her dissertation topic. She has never mentioned her defense date. She has never named a committee member. These are details that any doctoral graduate would be able to recall without needing a transcript. After the Breakfast Club, Bryant moved on to an interview with Fox5 DC's Marissa Mitchell. And this is where she drew her line in the sand. When Mitchell asked why she wouldn't simply provide proof of her degree to silence the critics, Bryant refused. Her response is now being quoted all over the internet. She said, "I have multiple degrees, and my thing is that my proof isn't something that I have to prove to individuals. My proof is already within my credentials, my degrees, and also more than just my titles, it's in how effective I've been." She pointed to her celebrity sessions as evidence. She said her work with Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Shannon Sharp, and B. Simone, all conducted publicly, proved that her methods are legitimate. Quote, "They deemed it as my work being effective. I am effective at what I do. I'm educated and I'm successful in my lane." And then she said something that became the quote of the moment. When Mitchell pushed her on why she won't just show the degree, Bryant replied, "I've earned the title. I have multiple degrees and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. We're going to leave it just as that. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, baby, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant." She also said in a separate moment, "My obedience is to God, not the people." TMZ, Essence, TheGrio, Rolling Stone, The Shade Room, they all picked it up. The story was everywhere. Now Bryant does have at least one high-profile defender. Former NBA star Paul Pierce came out publicly in her corner saying, "Listen to what she's saying. She knows what she's talking about. She's changing lives." But the licensed mental health community wasn't buying it, and neither was much of the internet. Here's what makes this story more than just celebrity drama. Cheyenne Bryant is not advising people on their fashion choices or their diet plans. She is advising people on their mental health, their relationships, their trauma, their psychological well-being, and she is doing it under a doctoral title she cannot verify, while openly saying she prefers not to be bound by the ethics boards and regulations that exist specifically to protect the people seeking that kind of help. It's also worth noting this controversy didn't start in May 2026. Comedian Corey Holcomb has reportedly been raising questions about Bryant's credentials publicly for over a decade. He was saying it before it was a trending topic. The current viral moment didn't create the questions, it just finally forced them into the mainstream. And then there's the FTC angle. Multiple social media users have reportedly filed complaints with the Federal Trade Commission over Bryant's claims of being a doctor and a licensed professional. Those complaints are out there. Whether action follows remains to be seen. The pivot Bryant made, from calling herself a therapist to calling herself a psychology expert and life coach, is legally significant. Life coaching is unregulated. Anyone can call themselves a life coach. But continuing to use the title doctor while working with clients on mental health carries legal weight in many states. That is not a small distinction.